welcome back to my channel. So I have been absent for about 2 weeks, but I am finally back, and I don't want to make this intro extra long, so I'm going to jump right into it. So today's video has been highly requested. Every time that I post like these little boxes on Instagram and ask you guys what you want to see from me, there's always some people that request for me to film a video about my moving process to the Netherlands, how I did it, what it's like living alone or living on your own, and just to make a video about all of that, giving tips and my advice. So that's exactly what I'm going to be doing today. Also, let's address the elephant in the room. Yes, I don't have my nails anymore. It's quarantine. I cannot go outside and get my nails done, so I had to take them off and do them myself. They look horrible, I know. There's no need to come for me, I know. But let's dive straight into the video. So I'm going to start off with just some general information talking about myself. So I moved to the Netherlands the day after I graduated, so it was very quick. I had it all planned out. I got my bachelor's degree and I moved the next day to the Netherlands. I didn't want to lose any time, and I knew then that I had to find housing. I had to get my apartment and stuff, and that was a long process. So I knew beforehand that I wanted to come as soon as possible so I can get all my things started. So that's exactly what I did. But in my mind, I had like, okay, 1 or 2 months is going to be enough for me to find an apartment that I like, or actually just find an apartment. But actually, it didn't go like that at all. It was very hard to find an apartment. And it differs from people to people, depending on what you want. Like for me, I did not want to live in one of the rooms, so like live in a big house and you just rent a room in the house and live with other students or other people that you don't know. I did it once before, but it wasn't a house, and I only rented a room. It was like a studio, but we were 4 people on the same level, and the only thing that we shared was the kitchen. So that was my experience. That was about 4 years ago in the Netherlands also, but I didn't like that vibe at all. So I knew from that point on that when I came to actually live here, I couldn't do it. I needed to have everything for my own. I cannot share a front door, I cannot share anything. So that's exactly what I wanted. So I came here. Then before you actually start applying for housing and stuff, you have to actually be registered here as a citizen. So that's the first thing that I had to do. I had to register that I lived by my aunt's house, so that I was actually a resident, and then you get your BSN number. I don't know how to say that in English, but it's just like a number that you are registered and where you are registered at, so they know your address and stuff. And when you have that, then you can actually start applying for housing and stuff. So that was very helpful. I did that in the first like 2 to 3 weeks that I was here. Then I started looking for housing. I started, reacting to different housing, different houses, different apartments, different studios, to see what I wanted to get, or what I could possibly get. But it was very hard, because most of the apartments were like super old, and they needed a lot of fixing. So like the roof would be, a little wonky. So it was very tough for me to actually find a place. And it was a struggle. I'm not gonna sit here and lie. It was a struggle. And I was looking mostly in the student housings, if you would call it like that. So if they weren't rooms, they were either like studios or apartments, but especially for students. But I could not find anything. For the love of God, I could not find anything. So what I did then, I started getting a little frustrated, because 4 months had went by and I was still living by my aunt. I could not get any place. So what I did was I started looking in private housing. So I started looking for private housing, and the thing about private housing is you can get a house a little bit quicker, not quickly, a little quicker. But the thing about it though, it is very expensive. It is so much. Like, for example, if you could get a student studio for like 500 euros, when you're looking in private apartments and private housing, it gets very expensive. You can get one for about 800 and 900 and up. So it is very expensive. So you have to be careful of that, especially if you have the student loans going on. You have to make sure that your budget can pay for that and you still have your money left to do all the other things that you have to do, but I will get into that later in the video. But so to make a long story short, that's what I did. I rented and I'm still renting a private apartment. It is more expensive than I would like, but you know, you gotta do what you gotta do. And I'm not gonna lie, I like it here. It is very, very quiet. There's not a lot of people around me. I mean, there's a lot of people around me, but they're not, you know, like loud people and stuff. So it's very quiet around here, and I absolutely love that. So I do not regret renting this house, but it's just something to think about when you're trying to make that decisions, like what do you want and what is most convenient for you. You have to keep that in mind. Okay, so now I'm going to get straight into the tips that I have for you guys. So the first one is you have to make sure that you have a budget. You have to make a budget, and it sounds so cliche, like okay, you have to budget, but I really mean it. You have to have a budget, and I'm going to later on insert a clip on the screen where I can show you guys exactly how I like the budget, and if you want to use my method, you can use that too. But so you need to make sure that what you're buying, what you're renting, you need to make sure that you can afford it. So it sounds dumb, but it's really, really important to know. For example, if you get 1,000 euros in student loans and you rent a house that's 600 euros, you need to make sure that the 400 that you have left, you can pay your transportation, your school, your food, your gym membership, your phone bills, your whatever else that you need to pay for. You need to make sure that that money is going to be enough. Otherwise, you're going to have to get a job. And getting a job while studying, especially living in a place that is not your hometown, can be a little tricky and can be a little intimidating depending on, you know, your personality, your character. I would say for me, I didn't work until about 6 months that I was here. I started work. No, I'm lying. I started working when I had 1 year living here. I started working about 1 year living here. And, you know, at first it was a little intimidating, and it was, you know, a little stressful because, you know, I'm new here. I don't know the people here very well and stuff. But then when I started getting the hang of it, it was super fun, except the part where the company that I work for is terrible and they are the worst people ever. So that's that. But so you need to make sure that you can actually afford what you want and what you are making, you know, commitments to, because everything here is contracts you need to sign, and you know, you need to make sure that what you're signing is something that at the end of the month you can actually have the money left to pay for it, and it's not gonna cost you to have money troubles. The second tip that I have for you is don't be enemies with your neighbors. And actually I need to apply that tip myself, but I'm still gonna to give it to you guys because it sounds like okay, but why though? But you really need it, because sometimes if something is happening, the only people that are close to you may be your neighbors, and if you're enemies with your neighbors, they are not going to want to help you, or if they see something, they're not going to want to tell you. For example, if your bike is outside and someone's stealing your bike and they're seeing it, but you're enemies with that person, they're not going to call you like, Hillary, someone's out there stealing your bike. They're just going to sit there like, yeah, whatever, I don't care, that's not my business. You know what I'm saying? So for example, I have a backyard, and a couple of days ago, the cat from my upstairs neighbors fell into my backyard. I don't know what happened. The cat fell in the backyard. I was in here, so I didn't hear the cat crying in the backyard. So if it wouldn't be for my other neighbor that had called me and told me like, oh my god, there's a cat crying in your backyard, is it your cat? And I'm like, my cat? No. So then I went outside, saw the cat, there was a whole thing. But you know, it's important to be at least cordial. You don't need to be friends with them, but at least be on speaking terms, and at least be cordial with your neighbors, because sometimes when you're in a little bit of a difficult situation, they may be the only person that is more accessible and that could help you more easily than your friends that may live 3,000 miles away. So keep that in mind. Also, another thing that I forgot to say is when I was telling the story about when I moved here, you have to make sure that if you're planning to move to the Netherlands or to wherever else you want to move to, you need to make sure that you have a safe place to stay and that the people there want you there. So it also sounds like, what do you mean? But I mean, like, sometimes people say, okay, that's not a problem, you can come here, you can come live with me, whatever, whatever, until you find your house. But then that process can take so long, and people really get frustrated with you being in their house all the time. In my situation, it wasn't the case at all. My aunt is the sweetest person ever. She didn't get tired of me, I think. But sometimes, especially, living with people that live with multiple people in the house, they want their space back. Everyone says, you can come live with me, it's not a problem. But after you've been there for a month, for 2 months, for 3 months, people start getting tired of you and they want you to go. So you have to make sure that you have a place to stay and that people are not gonna throw you on the street and then you don't have anywhere else to go. You know what I'm saying? So you have to keep that in mind, because especially because you're not living in your hometown anymore, you cannot pack your things up and say, okay, I'm going to my mom's house. That's not how it works. You're here on your own, so you have to make sure that you're safe and that the people that are living with you or that you're living with actually want you, if that makes sense. Okay, so another tip that I have for you guys is don't make debts. It's better to save up and buy something than to buy things and you have to pay for the monthly and stuff. And sometimes I get it, I'm a student too, so I get it that sometimes it's difficult. For example, you want to buy something that's really expensive, or maybe you want to buy a fridge, or I don't know, you want to buy something and they tell you, this costs 400 euros, but you can pay for it 30 euros a month for about, I don't know, 5 years, whatever. It's tempting to say, okay, 30 euros a month, it's not that much, I'm gonna do that. But the thing about it is, if you keep doing that, the amounts are gonna add up and add up and add up, and at the end of the month you have so much stuff to pay that you're gonna be so shocked that all this 30, 20, 50, blah 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 amounted up to be so much. So I totally recommend against that, and I highly suggest that you save up the money and buy the thing that you want to buy just once, and not try to pay things in monthly phases and in different phases and stuff, because it's really gonna add up. And at the end of the month it's gonna be so much. You're gonna be so surprised. So, and when then you have a contract and it's going to be legal issues, and then you cannot pay it, then you have to loan money from people. So save yourself the trouble. Just save up your money and buy it when you can afford it. Another thing that a lot of students forget is you can actually use student discounts at a lot of places. You can go to the movies. Here it's called Pathé. You can go to the movies. You can go to several restaurants and stuff, use student discounts. I often forget and don't use them myself, but actually you should. So you can get like 20% discounts when doing a lot of things. So you just have to show them like your student card and stuff, and you can easily get student discounts. So I highly suggest you guys check that out too. Another thing, I'm looking down because I have my little notebook right here. Another thing that you can do if you're a student, you can buy secondhand textbooks and not the new ones. So when I started studying, I didn't know like anyone at the university, so it was almost impossible for me to buy secondhand books from students there because I didn't know any students there. So I had to buy all the books myself, but most of the books range in about 90 to 110 euros per book, so it's a lot of money. And then considering you have about 10 books, you can add them out yourself. So just keep that in mind. If you can buy a second-hand book from a previous year student for about 50 or something, it will save you a lot of money that you can do a lot of different things with. Also, you can actually buy the books online too. In the Netherlands, there's a website called bol.com. You can actually buy books there and you can get them at a really decent price. So you can check that out and make sure that you can save some extra money to do other fun stuff with. Another important tip that I have for you guys is to have a plan. So I always have a plan of what I want to do, when I'm going to do it, what time I'm going to do it, what do I want to accomplish when I finish it. So I have everything planned out always. I don't know why, I've always been that way. I like writing, I like doing that. So, but that has helped me so much. So for example, right, you know that you need to go to school from Monday to Friday from 8 a.m. to 3 p.m., for example. Then you have to also manage studying, you have to manage, I don't know, going to the gym, you have to manage seeing your friends, you have to manage doing the laundry, you have to cook, you have to clean the house. So there's a lot of other stuff that you have to do except from only going to school. Maybe you have to work, maybe you have to do other things. So for me, it has been important to have a plan. So I know, for example, okay, on Monday I'm going to school from 8 a.m. to 3 p.m. Afterwards, I'm coming home and I'm cooking for the whole week. The next day is Tuesday. I'm going home. I'm going to school from 8 a.m. to 3 p.m. I'm coming home. Then I'm doing the laundry. The second day is my rest. The next day, like that, you keep building up. You keep putting everything that you have to do so that you can make sure that you have done everything that you actually have to do, so that when the weekend comes, you don't have to do a lot of things. Maybe you like that. Maybe you like chilling during the week and doing everything during the weekend. Maybe you have to plan nail appointments, eyelash appointment, hair appointment. You have to make sure that everything comes in a schedule. So working with a schedule and a plan has been definitely game changing for me. And the last tip I have before I go into the budgeting with you guys is to not compare yourself with others. So sometimes it is very intimidating when you're a student and you see all your friends or maybe classmates and stuff have a bigger apartment or a nicer room, and they have all these other things. Maybe they have a car and you're only traveling with public transportation or whatever, and it's easy to compare yourself to others and be like, wow, damn, I wish that was me, or like, why can't I do that, why can't I? But it is so not worth it to compare yourself with others. It really isn't, because everyone's life is so different, everyone's path is different, and the way that life is happening for you is because it had to happen like that for you. It's trying to teach you something. You have to open your ears and your eyes, open your mind, so you can actually see what life is trying to teach you, instead of trying to be someone else and be someone else. Let people have their time, you will have yours. It's not a competition. You're not competing with anyone. Your life is yours. You have to make the best out of it for you, not for anyone else, not to impress anyone, because in 5 to 10 years you're not going to even remember their names. So let people do them. You do you. Make sure that what you're doing, your future self can thank you for it. Okay, so now I'm going to get into the budgeting. So I have my iPad right here. Right now I'm going to move into the budgeting tips. I will put them on the screen as I go, so you guys can actually see what I'm talking about. Okay, so you start with your income, and you need to define what your income is. What is your income? Your income may be your student loans, your part-time job, maybe your parents sent you money, maybe you have a loan, I don't know. So you have to put all your income, every money that is coming in for a month. And I'm doing it for a monthly basis, but that depends on how you get paid. Maybe you have a job that pays weekly or bi-weekly or monthly, so you have to do it how it fits your specific budget. I'm doing it monthly right now. So for example, I'm writing down income. The income may be student loans. Let's put student loans, part-time job, maybe your parents sent you money. So now that I have that, you have to add the amount up so you know how much money you're making or how much money your income is. And one thing that also helps is if you put the date. For example, when you're gonna get the money. So for example, I can say I'm going to get student loans on the 24th of May. Then, for example, my job pays me on the 30th of May. My parents give me money when they get their salary. Maybe that's on the 25th of May. So then you have a better view of when each amount of money is going to be coming in. Then you can move on to your bills. So your bills is everything that you have to pay, and also every other thing that you have to spend money on. So for example, transportation, your internet, your phone bill, your rent, maybe tuition, electricity, gas, water, meals, lashes, whatever it is that you do, your groceries, of course, laundry if you don't have a washing machine. Also, I totally recommend getting a washing machine. Laundry is so expensive. Just get a washing machine. You can also lease one if you don't want to buy one, but I totally recommend buying one because it will save you a lot of money. Clothing, Netflix, maybe. Whoops. Netflix, Spotify, all that good stuff. Insurance. Whoops. School supplies, maybe books that you have to buy for school, but also textbooks, your laptop, softwares that you need, all that extra stuff that you have to buy to keep updated and to be updated with, your school things. Um, Personal care, so your personal things, your hygiene, whatever it is that you need, makeup, whatever. Gym membership. So right here I have about most of the common bills and things that students have to pay for. So it is transportation, internet, phone bill, rent, tuition, electricity and gas, water, nails, lashes, groceries, laundry, clothing, Netflix, Spotify, insurance, school supplies, personal care, and gym membership. And I'm going to just put right here saving. So this one is important because you want to make sure that you're also at least trying to save some money because being a student you can get in the idea that, oh my god, I'm a student, I cannot save anything, I don't even have that much money, which in most cases is true. Being a student is hard and most of the time you do not have a lot of money to save, but it is important to try to save at least a tiny bit of your income, just because you never know what can happen. Maybe you get in an emergency and you have to pay for something. Maybe something happens, you have to buy a plane, go to your hometown. So it is important to have a little money saved for in case something happens. Or you can also save money to do fun stuff. For example, you save money, let's say you want to go to Morocco one day and you say, okay, I'm saving up month by month so that in 5 months I can finally amount the money that I have and I can pack up my bags and go freely without having to worry about loans and stuff, because I've saved the money and it's not gonna affect my pocket so much. So that's that. And it is important to also write, I'm not going to do it right now because that's a lot, but with your bills you want to also write the dates. For example, the first one was transportation, so you have to write, if you have a transportation membership on your transportation card, you can write, okay, like I have to pay for this membership the first of each month. Maybe your rent, you have to pay your rent at the last day of each month. Maybe you have laundry, that's maybe you do laundry every week, so you have to write all the dates so you can make sure that the money that you have coming in equals with the money that you're actually going to be giving out, and that the dates are cohesive with each other. You know what I'm saying? I hope I'm making sense. I hope this isn't too all over the place. But so that's that. And then you have to make sure that your income, so let's do it like this. So then you can do, oh no. So then you can say, okay, my income minus my bills minus, where's the minus? Minus my savings. And you have to make sure that you have still a little money left. So what I was telling you guys, you have to make sure that you still have some money left that you can, if you want to save, you can save it, and if you don't want to save it, you can still be alive. But you always want to make sure that there is a positive number, so meaning you don't want to have more bills than income coming in. Your bills cannot be 3,000 euros and your income be 2050. You know what I'm saying? That's not ideal, because you're not going to be able to pay all your bills and you're going to be put in a lot of trouble. So if you follow this like simple budgeting steps, I think you'll be all right. This is how I do it. I know exactly when my job is going to pay me, when the student's loans is going to pay me. If my mom sends me money, I know exactly when, so I know exactly the amount. And it is important then, so I can know, okay, so if the money is coming in on the 24th, then I can get my nails done on the 26th. I cannot make an appointment to get my nails done on the 20th if I'm going to get paid on 24th. You know what I'm saying? It's not gonna make sense because I will not have the money. I would need to get money from my savings, which is not ideal because when you have money saved, especially in my case, especially, I don't want to use the money that I have saved. I only want to use it for the purpose that I saved it for. So if I'm saving money to buy, I don't know, let's say a bag, I only want to get that money if I have the amount of money needed to buy the bag. I don't touch that money. I don't use a little bit from that money. I just save it until it gets to the right amount for me to buy the bag that I want. So that's that. I hope this video wasn't all over the place and it was a little understandable and that it made some sense. I feel like I didn't explain everything well, but if you guys have any other questions, you can always let me know. You guys know my Instagram. I will also leave it on the screen. You guys can talk to me on there. You can also message me on Snapchat. You guys do that a lot, so I like that. And what else? Oh, I also have a TikTok account, which you guys can follow me on there to see whatever foolishness I'm doing. But I want to thank you guys so much for watching and thank you for being patient with me. I hope this video helped you in some way. So thank you for watching and I will see you guys in my next video. Bye.